Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And you know what? It's fight night. We are here with another Hunter x Hunter review. We got episode 46 and 47. And for all you guys who already know what's happening in these episodes, you know why I'm excited right now. Kurapika went full chain gang. You know what? Let's just get into this review. We're gonna blow through episode 46. It's honestly not a whole lot happened, but we gotta get to 47 because yeah. Alright, so episode opens back up where we left Kurapika and Hisoka talking about forming a team. They decide that they're going to exchange information but not necessarily directly help each other. So, they're not really tied down if they need to break off the alliance. It's just, here's stuff you need to know, here's stuff I need to know. Kurapika gets a call. That's when he finds out what happened with Dolzone and the fact that, Uvo broke out. The little security team meets up. They decide their first course of action. Kurapika decides, we gotta go tell the boss, aka Neon, and try and get in touch with her dad to figure out what we're gonna do next. So they go up. They tell her what's up. She don't even care that half her bodyguards just got killed. All she cares about is this damn mummy. Whatever, it's her character. I don't like her. They decide they have to call her dad. Kurapika tries to have, the dog guy. Anyway, Kurapika tries to have him call, and he doesn't want to because, he's not the leader type. And they all decide to vote on a new leader. They actually vote Kurapika because not only is he strong, but, he's got good decision-making ability, and he can sometimes keep a level head. But anyway, they call the dad. He gives him a quick assessment of what's going on, and they need to decide that they're going to get Neon out of there as soon as possible. We cut over to the Phantom Troop and Shalnark. Yes, I learned his name, Shalnark. Shalnark is searching the Hunter website for information to try and figure out who it was that captured Uvo. And they learned that the building was owned by a dummy corporation belonging to the Nostrad family. So they start looking up buildings the Nostrad family owned or places the Nostrad family are staying. And Uvo, after getting a load of beer, because he still has to get rid of those leeches, and ends up leaving to try and go and find everybody. But it cuts back to Kurapika, and Kurapika's on the same website, and he sees all the information that's available and realizes that they're in danger. So he makes a quick snap decision. They're going to move the boss into another room, check on one of the security guards, one of the security team, but they're going to leave their room still checked into, and Kurapika's going to stay there by himself, waiting for Uvogin. Uvogin actually managed to get to one of the Nostrad-owned houses, and he interrogates a guy, and he basically spills his guts about everything that's going on. He tells him about Neon being a fortune teller, tells him that Kurapika is part of the security team. He even explains how her dad made his fortune off of this girl. Uvogin realizes that that's probably how they figured out that they were going to get robbed, so there wasn't actually a traitor, and then he proceeds to push this dude's head through a wall. We actually go back to Leorio going and kill him in this episode. They're still trying to figure out money. They still don't have nearly enough, and Leorio explains the other half of his scheme, that the reason they wanted Gon to go so ham is because they were trying to create more rumors, so that way somebody, a little deeper into the underground would take notice of them. Well, somebody does, and they bring him to an underground arm wrestling ring where basically people bet on ridiculous levels of arm wrestling. I guess. And he explains to them about the kind of money, the type of money that he's allowed to bet. He gets a percentage of the winnings, the bets played on the winner, and things like that. So he thinks they're about to make a whole lot of money. Gon's ready to go, and then they get interrupted by this person I'm not going to show because they were wearing almost no clothes, and I just don't understand why he was in underwear. But basically the Mafia, who I guess run this underground arm wrestling, called it off and basically said, we have a new thing, a conditional auction, which is basically a giant game of hide and seek, where if you pay $5 million, you can enter. And I gave him a list, 7 pictures, And if you can capture any of them dead or alive, you get $2 billion. Well, it turns out the pictures were all the Phantom Troop. And Killua, being the smart person that he is, figures out what's going on. That the Mafia can't catch them, and they basically just organize a giant bounty hunt. That nobody else is really going to be able to catch them because they're all ridiculous. And it was stupid to even do this. But Leorio and Killua are actually going to attempt to catch the Phantom Troop. So the last thing that happens in the episode, it cuts back to Kurapika waiting for Uvogin. Gon tries to call him because they haven't heard from him, and they actually were able to piece together that it's the Phantom Troop that they're after. And while his phone's ringing, he's not answering it. Uvogin's coming up the stairs. Uvogin gets there, catches him by himself, and that's basically where the episode ends. Now, episode 47. It's where it was at. It starts off right where 46 left off. It's fight night, baby. So, Uvo walks in, Kurapika's there, and he basically says, it's impressive that you're here by yourself. But he decides to let him pick where they're going to fight. They go out into the desert because Kurapika doesn't want to be a nuisance. And after peeing out the leech eggs in the nastiest way possible, Uvo basically asks Kurapika who he is, and Kurapika explains. He doesn't actually explain it right away. He asks Uvo if Uvo remembers the people that he killed. Uvo says only the ones that made an impression, and he's like, what, is this some kind of vendetta? And he goes, yeah, for the Kurta. And he's like, I've never heard of the Kurta clan before. He's like, they had scarlet eyes, they lived out in the desert. And he's just like, what's that, some kind of jewel? Like, he doesn't remember them at all, which is crazy. But Kurapika takes off the blue part of his outfit, the one that looks kind of like a kilt and an overvest, and he's just ready to go. He like flexes his Nanora, and they start fighting. And boy, so it starts off. Uvo flexes his aura. His aura is bright red, which is cool. Kurapika starts white, but then when he attacks with his chains, it turns yellow. Uvo punches the ground. Kurapika jumps up, swings his chain. I mean, the animation for this just is so on point. Just look at these two screenshots real quick, and the budget just clearly went through the roof. Uvo manages to dodge Kurapika's chains and gets close enough to hit him. Kurapika blocks it, but he gets sent flying back into a wall. Uvo thinks that he broke Kurapika's arm because he's a master enhancer, and Kurapika's not. In his mind, with how much power is in his chains, he must either be a manipulator or a conjurer. But then, even with this giant crater behind him, Kurapika just gets up and dusts himself off like nothing happened. And Uvo's like completely shook. He's just like, I don't know how this dude just took my punch, but it is what it is. So they keep fighting, except Uvo says that now he's going up to 50% power, but he gets his ass whooped by Kurapika without even using his chains. He punches him in the face, he kicks him in the head, sends him flying, comes up from above him, and kicks him so hard that the dust comes up. At this point, I'm just like, what the hell is going on? He's not supposed to be, the shark. Even I'm confused. He starts talking trash to Uvo and basically says, what do you guys... let me guess, you think I should have just used my chains on you that whole time? Just like, stop making excuses, give me everything you got. So Uvo powers up, shatters the mountains behind him, and punches at the ground so hard that all the dust comes up, and he makes a smoke screen. And then he disappears. Kurapika realizes that he's using In to hide his aura, and he comes out of the smoke and hits him so hard that he shatters his left arm. Even though Kurapika manages to block it, his arm is just done. He gets sent flying, but as he regains his composure and backflips on top of a hill, a cliff, and he explains that he didn't know Uvo could use In, and he's not the only one who could use In. And then he raises his hand, and his chains go from visible to visible, and they're already wrapped around Uvo. And Uvo freaks out, and he basically explains, these chains are conjured out of Nen, so of course I can make them invisible. He lands on the ground, and Uvo's like, this doesn't make sense. Conjurers, He doesn't understand how his chains are so strong. He tries to break out and he can't do it. He doesn't see how somebody could have mastered both conjuring and enhancement. It just doesn't work. They can only master whatever they were born with. At this point, I'm asking the same question. We got a whole explanation last season about how that doesn't work. Well, and then we get it. Kurapika offers to explain it as a parting gift, being, his edgy self, and he takes out his dark contacts and his eyes are bright red, and we get this really, really cool shot of him. And he explains that he is a specialist when his eyes turn red, and that his specialist ability is he can use every type of Nen to 100%, which is absolutely psycho to me. His specialist ability is called Emperor Time, and this is the shot we get of it. Now, without even thinking about the episode, we'll go cut that away from the episode for a second. The fact that he can use all Nen abilities to 100%, the combinations are ridiculous. Like, imagine being able to make a rocket launcher out of Nen and then power it up so it can just blow through anything. Or imagine being able to control knives, but make it so they have the piercing power of an armor-piercing bullet. Like, it's wild to me. He can now turn his Nen into whatever he wants. He can conjure items whenever he needs it. It's just thinking about it made my brain hurt. But it's just silly to think about what he can actually do. And I don't know if there's a downside. They didn't really explain one yet. But as of right now, he is ridiculously OP. We get a flashback of... It actually flashes back to a flashback that we saw previous in the series, but it continues it. Basically, we see him talking to the guy who taught him Nen, and he talks about how he wants to make chains. Kurapika says he wants to make chains with his conjuring ability because he thinks there are some people that should be chained to hell. His master says, "Is that what you think? Because the way it's looking, it looks like you're going to be the one chained down." And he does a little bit of a tantrum and walks off. His master explains that you can't make an unbreakable chain, but you can make something close. And this is where we get the entire explanation about a Nen contract. Basically, combining with your Nen ability, which already adds to your physical strength already, it gets multiple. Your Nen powers can get multiplied by coming up with a contract with yourself. Basically, you come up with a condition that you're prepared to keep at all times, and by doing this, it will enhance the power of your Nen. Kurapika's is that he will only use his chains to tie down the Phantom Troop, and he will put his life on it. That's why he has that stake in his heart. So if he tries to tie down anybody else with his chains other than a Phantom Troop member, he'll die. And we see the results. He even shows us, he flexes a little bit. So we've seen what some of his fingers do. I guess his ring finger was the dowsing chain that he used a few episodes back. His middle finger is his chain jail. His thumb does this. It's apparently for self-healing, and by enhancing it, he was able to fix his broken arm in an instant. It's kind of wild. So he then explains to Uvogin why he chose him as his first battle. Basically, Uvogin is another guy who prefers to fight on his own. He's retardedly strong. He's got the highest attack and defense power of the entire Phantom Troop. And since Kurapika prefers to fight alone, he met all the prerequisites to make him his first opponent. And it was mostly a test. Basically, his chain jail has the ability to force Zetsu. If you guys remember back from season 2, Zetsu basically is when you shut off your entire aura. It's supposed to help you. It's supposed to help you recover from fatigue, and it's supposed to, make your aura unsensible. Well, in this case, he completely shuts off your aura, so you can't use any Nen abilities. And the only way for you to get out is to physically overpower his chains. Considering they're made of Nen and they're super powered by his enhancement, there's no way to break them. And since the strongest member of the Phantom Troop can't break them, the rest of them can't either. Then he goes up to Uvo and starts trying to interrogate him. He punches him with an enhanced punch. And he's trying to get Uvo to tell him where the rest of the Phantom Troop is. Uvo just says, "Just kill me." Hits him again. What are their powers? Just kill me. He starts beating his ass, breaks his arm, and he's just like, just kill me. He gets so worked up because he can't stand what he's doing. You know, the feeling of hurting another person, the blood, just Kurapika doesn't like it. And he doesn't understand how Uvo could just do it without a care of the world. And Uvo just responds, just kill me. Well, we get to see what Kurapika's pinky does. He launches a glowing chain into Uvo's chest, and it wraps around his heart and sticks in his heart. And basically, I think he said this was the judgment chain. But Kurapika makes a rule, similar to what he did, what's going on with him. But if you break the rule, you die. He sets the rule that you have to answer all my questions honestly. So he asks him again, where's the Phantom Troop? And Uvo just says, go to hell, bastard. And he immediately dies. Blood comes out of his mouth and he drops, and we get this really, really sexy black and white shot right here as Uvogin's body falls by Kurapika. He calls the crew, tells them he's okay. They explain that Neon's dad's gonna be late, and he almost collapses for what looks like from exhaustion. I'm not surprised. He did do a lot of crazy shit. But then we get the meme. Now I've seen this meme. I didn't get it till now, and I've also heard about this as a flex in a video by Nuxtaku. Check him out if you ever get the chance. That Kurapika brought a shovel to a fight because he knew he was gonna catch a body. Chain gang. I love this man. He buries Uvo and leaves. We cut back to the Phantom Troop, and Crollo is basically assessing what's going on with Uvo. He's just like a chain user. He's probably a manipulator or conjurer. And he explains how in a one-on-one exchange, that's actually where Uvo is probably the weakest, because a conjurer, obviously they can enhance the things they conjure. And a manipulator, we already saw with Baze how a manipulator could have controlled Uvo. If Baze had kissed Uvo, would she have controlled him? But Shalnark realizes that something's up. He's like, shit, I should have gone with him. And Crollo's just like, it is what it is. If he doesn't show up by dawn, we're changing our plan. We're going to keep going. And that's how the episode ends. This, by far, is my favorite episode to date. My boy whooped that ass, and I can't wait to see what he does to the rest of the Phantom Troop. I have not been so hyped for an episode until this one. I've watched this fight a bunch of times now. As of recording this, I've probably gone back and watched the fight at least 5 times in preparation. I adore it, and I can't wait for the next episode. And that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will catch you guys on the next one.